Hey guys, Alan Watson here from Golf Plus in Dothan. Going to be talking to you today about regripping. It's a very simple procedure, probably one of the easiest repairs in golf, but obviously, like any job, you need the right tools, and experience helps. I've been putting grips on for 20 years, so when I put one on, people say things like, wow, you make that look easy, or you've done that before. And it kind of sounds silly, but it is true. I have a theory about grips. I think anyone can do them. You can do them at home with the proper tools and everything. But to me, regripping a golf club is kind of like getting an oil change. I could do it myself, but I'd rather let the guy that does it 15 times a day do it, because he does it right. He has all the right tools. He's ready to go, and he's going to get it done right the first time. So we're going to break it down for you. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we have all of the tools for regripping. So we're going to need double-sided tape. I prefer the 2-inch because it gives us a nice even coverage. Some people still prefer to use the 3/4 inch and use the old ping method of spiral wrapping. You can do that. With some grips, you're going to feel that wrap underneath. With some grips, if they're thick enough especially, you're probably not going to feel that. But with the 2-inch, you will not feel that. So I've got my 2-inch tape. I've got my hook blade for removing old grips. Definitely when you're removing a grip, a straight blade is okay, but you're probably going to scratch the shaft. With the hook blade, I can get under the grip and pull back and through, and that's going to remove that grip a little bit cleaner. I'm also going to need some solvent to allow the grip to slide on very easily. We use VMP naphtha. This is what we've used for years. You can get it at your local paint store. I've heard people talk about things like mineral spirits. That's fine. I probably would not use acetone. It's a little bit more corrosive. I would not use gasoline, although I've heard people use that. I would not use lighter fluid, although I've heard people use that. You know, all of these things are flammable, but there's no reason with fooling with something that smells that bad and is that corrosive to the inside of the grip when you don't have to. So VMP naphtha, nice and mild, that's what we like to use. That's what we've used here in the shop for 30 years. Removing the grip is simple. We're going to make sure that hook blade is turned a little bit sideways. I'm going to cup it just underneath the grip there, and then I'm going to pull straight back. You'll notice I put my hands on top of each other. Why do I do that? Because a loose hand could get in the way and the blade could cut me. So if I put my hands here, I'm keeping my hands out of the way. I've done this without actually scratching any of the shaft. Obviously on a steel shaft, it's not going to be as easy to scratch. You don't have to worry about it as much, but we still want to be careful. And with a graphite shaft, I definitely want to be careful. Now I've got this tape here. I'm going to use an industrial heat gun, which is basically just a souped up hair dryer. I'm going to heat that tape up and peel it right off. You'll notice I switched golf clubs because this one needs to get ready for a customer, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one for us. I'm going to pull off the appropriate amount of my 2-sided tape. I'm going to overlap about 1/4, maybe a little more than 1/4 of an inch off the back end. Don't need a lot of extra tape because all I need to do is cover the end of the shaft so that the grip slides on easily. If I'm regripping steel shafted clubs, sometimes if there's a little burr or a little hard spot in the back, you can use some sandpaper and just kind of scratch that off, because if it's too sharp, it could cut through the end of the grip. All right, I've got my tape set now. I've got a towel. You'll see some people use methods where they'll pour the solvent in and then shake it back and forth and all that. Honestly, to me, that's a little bit unnecessary as long as you use enough solvent. I am going to cover the end cap of the hole of the grip because I don't want solvent to just come pouring out of it. I'm going to squirt some solvent down into my grip, and then I'm going to go up and down the shaft maybe once each direction. Now as I put the grip on, I'm actually going to twist it like that, and that's going to dump all the solvent out back onto the shaft. I'm going to pinch just a little bit with thumb and first finger, slide that grip right on. That one went on super easy. Some are a little bit more difficult depending on the compound they're made out of and how thick the walls are and such as that. But that one being just a standard rubber grip, no problem at all. I'm going to align the grip to the head. Then I'm going to pop it out of my vise and I'm going to check it over here. Make sure it feels and looks right, and that one's perfect. Okay, so one of the things that I forgot to mention at the top when we were talking about tools was the vise. Now, you could use just a standard vise and a little rubber vise clamp that's available through the Golf Works or somewhere like that. I've got a little quick release handle, obviously, because we do so many grips here in the shop. Having a vise allows you to keep the club steady, obviously. Working on the floor is a little bit more difficult. Obviously, you want to be careful, though. You don't want to tighten that vise down too tight. So especially with a graphite shaft, you could crack or break that shaft pretty easily. The other thing is we have a catch pan here. We're recycling as much of this fluid and liquid as we can. We don't really want to waste the liquid, first off. The other thing is it's just messy to just let it hit the floor. So, you know, I've seen people regrip. I've even regripped clubs in a sink before. It's not fun. Your wife will not appreciate it. So if you can get a bench vise, if you can get some type of catch pan, even if it's just a paint pan that you sit on top of a box or something to kind of keep it, that's going to make it a lot neater. So anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this basic tutorial on regripping. It is simple, and most shops will sell you grips at a discount so that then you can go home and do it yourself. But again, if you want to come see an expert like us, we'll have it knocked out in no time for you, and we'll do a great job every time. This is Alan Watson at Golf Plus in Dothan, signing off.